Hi guys, welcome to today's video. I'll be filming a Rapunzel inspired makeup look for you today. I'm going to be moisturizing my face, or you can prime your face, whichever you prefer. Moisturize and then prime. Make sure to get it all in there. Then I'm going to be using this little brush, this spoolie here, to brush out my brows. Make sure they're in the place that I want them before I start filling them in. I'm going to be using that NYX brow powder and an angled brush to start outlining where I want the brow. Just making sure I'm getting that tail right. It is an art. Just filling in those brows. Going in using a little bit of a lighter powder that might not show up in the lighting here, just so it's not so dark. Rapunzel doesn't have too dark brows. I do want them there, but I also want them thinner than usual, just because she does have thinner brows. So I'm just making sure I want to get the right color here. Going in here and filling them in, making sure they look perfect before I go into my eye primer here. Just want to put that on and then get it all around the lid. Then I'm putting in concealer on top and I'm putting that around as well, making sure it's all nice and even and coated over top. Carving that out, making sure everything is looking nice and perfect and the way that I want it to be. This is also a really great step, especially whenever you might have made any mistakes. You want to kind of go over it and you're like, man, I think I made this way too big. It is all good. This is the beauty of carving out the brows, is you can go in and fix it up. With a little bit of that, I just wanted to clean it up and recarve it out with my brush. Some of it I felt like had lost a bit of its sculptedness. Looking good. Now I go over top with the powder just to set the eyes. I don't want that crease to crease. And I also like to go over top my eyebrows. This is a strange step for some people, may not have even heard of it. I like to go over top to set the eyebrows and also to set the powder around the brows. It gets a little harder whenever you have all this concealer, what have you, around your brows, and it's not set either, and then it gets all waxy and weird throughout the day if you haven't set it. Then I like to go in with my eyeshadow. I'm going in with the transition shadow right now. This is in the WetnWild palette. Now, a lot of you people are probably thinking, why are you doing your eyeshadow before your foundation? That is blasphemy. I love to do this. I've always loved to do this. I find myself making mistakes every now and then, or sometimes the powder will be too much. It'll get everywhere. There's so much fallout, and sometimes I just make mistakes. So I like to do my eye look before I put on foundation. I like to do brows first because that's the most stressful thing to me. And then I like to go in with my eyeshadow, anything usually with the top of the eyes, and then I'll go from there to start with everything on the bottom and all that good stuff. Because usually if you mess up something on the bottom, it's a lot easier to clean up than something from the top, so that's just the way that I like to do it. So I'm just putting that transition shade still on the top. Now I am going in with this delightful shade here. It's pretty purple. And first I want to kind of pack and place where I want that initial shadow, especially because it is a darker color. I want to make sure that it's in the position that I want first before I start blending all over the place. I don't want to lose any of the vibrancy of the color, and I want to make sure that it's in the right place, especially because Rapunzel has very beautiful, big, saucer eyes, and I want to make that saucer type look on the top of my eyes. So that's what I'm doing here, is I want to just make sure to place it, and then I can blend until the high heavens. As you can see, by starting off very, not harsh, but starting there, I can drag the colors around, and then that just leaves that beautiful purple that reflects Rapunzel so well. And then I can go over top with a little bit of this shimmer shadow. It's very creamy, very delightful, and it goes over and really creates that saucer type look there. And so I can carve that out as well whenever I'm done. I like to pack it on with my finger. I feel like it gives the best effect, and it really gives it that bulbous type saucerish look that I'm kind of going for the bright big eyes. And of course you can achieve this as well if you wanted to do maybe a half cut crease and then go over top with your shadow. This is just the way that I wanted to go with it for this look. So as you can see, I'm packing it on and then bringing it right over top and just sweeping it and windshield wiper motions across my eye. And it's okay to add a little bit. It's always better to add a little bit and then continue to add on, rather than getting a lot of product and then putting it all on at once and then being like, wait, this is not what I wanted to do. I regret this decision. It's all good. Either way, if you make a mistake, it's all right. We can either make happy little eyes, or we'll just go with it. Or you can always start right over. Bring it back in with that shimmer shadow. And as you can see, I like to drag it along from the inner corner of my eye, and then I really like to start to pack it on as I get towards the middle of the eye. So it's creating that gradient. Going back in for some brow bone action. Sometimes I even like to go over with the brow bone before I start with the eyeshadows, just so I'm making sure that it's not doing exactly like what I had to do just now. Going in with a NYX Epic ink liner. Giving it a little bit of a wing there. Nothing too crazy, just a small wing. Alright, going in with a white eyeliner underneath. This is NYX in the Milk. Very iconic. I usually like to do this before I put on foundation, just because I don't like to put my fingers underneath my beautifully done foundation and all that great stuff. I will forget sometimes, and that's okay, but I like to do it a little bit beforehand. Going in with that foundation. Blend it on, girl. I'm going in with the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation. This is a really great buildable foundation. Blending that on a Dip Beauty blender. Sometimes I like to go directly into hard to blend areas there. see, it just blends right in with what we've already put over our brows, so it works perfectly. And I don't feel like that was enough foundation at first, so I just am continuing to build that coverage. I usually have a very red face, so I like to make sure to really pack it on. Especially when I'm doing a look for a princess, I want to make sure that all my flaws are covered and good. So now I'm going in with a concealer. This is the Makeup Revolution. Hitting those spots that I really want to draw attention to. And as you can see here, this is one of the reasons why I like to put on my foundation after I do my eyeshadow, is if you make any mistakes or you really want to define the way that your eyeshadow is looking, you don't have to worry about, oh, I could have carved this out easily. You can just easily carve it out with a brush, with your beauty blender, what have you, to really just make that eyeshadow looking all fleek. Now I'm going in with a pressed powder, not a pressed powder, a loose powder. I'm going in with the loose powder. Bless. I'm putting that over the areas that I conceal just to create that level of brightness that I really want to go for, especially with a princess. It makes you look a lot younger, helps make you look more awake, and it's going to draw attention to those areas that we've concealed. And for all the other places, I want to go in with a pressed powder. You could honestly do either. This is just my preference. You can see it's just a little bit darker than the loose powder. Okay, time for the contour. The most stressful part of any look aside from eyebrows. You're welcome to skip this step. For me, I've been eating way too much ice cream, so I need to look a little bit more sunken in than usual, since Rapunzel does not look like she has eaten lots of ice cream. So I'm just going over the typical areas of a contour, making sure to cut the jaw as well. If you do contour, you want to make sure to get underneath your chin and that jaw as well, really to connect everything. Otherwise, it's just going to be really confusing, like, oh, you look really skinny up here, but then you have like 3 chins. So this is something I still have to work on, is contouring. It is an ever-growing art. So now we're going to go in over the top of that with some bronzer, just to give the skin some warmth. This is where I really like to blend the contour underneath my chin and my jaw, and really get down there as well on the chest. Ooh, get it, girl. Now, for a dreaded part for someone with a long nose contouring. Again, contouring is like a science. You're always learning, or at least I'm always learning, figuring out how to make things go where and where to place them. Now, Rapunzel has a cute button nose like most princesses do. So that's what I'm trying to go for here. Really connecting that powder up to my brows. I want to create an entirely new face. So I'm going along the sides of my nose, looking crazy right now. Go with it. This is where I am covering up the fact that I could look like a Disney villain. Creating a little button nose here. All right. You want to be careful with creating a line like that on your face if you don't naturally have a line there, because you don't want it to look unnatural, but you do want to create the illusion that we do have that buttony type look. So what I'm doing here is creating a little circle on the sides of the nose. That's really going to give us the effect that we do have a buttony nose here. Again, if you already have a nose shape like this, you probably won't need to do a lot of these steps like I'm doing, but this is what I am going through to create that button nose. Now, it is a little harsh, and I do struggle with the fact of, man, this nose looks so contoured right now. So I like to go back in with a lighter powder just to blend everything together and not make it look so harsh. I'm going over top with a little bit of highlighter. That is what makes that nose look so different. Just blending that out so it's not so harsh. Perfect. Now I'm putting some lighter powder on the edges of the nose, and that helps create that illusion we're going for. Time to get into that blush. Now, if you are character performing, use more blush than this. Go easy on the bronzer and heavy on the blush. That is if you're character performing. This is if I'm going to the parks and I want to Disneybound. Now, I'm getting some powder to create a shadow underneath my eye. I don't want to go in with anything too dark, like an eyeliner underneath, because I want to create the illusion that I have big doe eyes like she has, like those saucer type eyes. And I'm blending that out because I don't want it too harsh. That's why we're not using a liner. Okay, now I'm doing what's called a semi-bake. There's definitely a legitimate term for this. I love the effect of baking, but I sometimes find that it's a little too harsh for my liking. So I just like to go in and cut where I have previously contoured or bronzed or what have you. This is really what is going to give you that illusion of that sunken in look. If you don't do this, you will not die and you will still look cute. This is what I like to do to create that effect. Going in with that young mascara. Put on that mascara, girl. Whoa! Put on that mascara. I'm just kidding. No, but really, put on the mascara. Now, if you wanted to put in falsies, this would also be a good time after your mascara is to put that on as well. Or if you'd like to put on your falsies and then mascara. I'm choosing not to put on falsies today because, let's be real, putting on falsies and going into a park or living your everyday life, your choice. It was my choice not to use them today. But it is very vital to put mascara on the bottom lash line, because she is so youthful and so precious, and she also has those really cute big eyes, and that's gonna again help you achieve that illusion that you do have those big eyes, unlike my tiny baby eyes. Setting what I have previously put there with some delightful shimmery shadow and putting it in the inside corner, as you can see, to make me look very awake. You feeling it? Putting it on the Cupid's bow. Going with that highlighter. I don't want to put too much, but I just want to put a little bit there. Okay, now, here's the part where we all learn a little something about Annie. I'm too cheap to get lip liner. It's not necessarily just that, but this is an amazing matte lipstick, and for some reason, I just love using it as a lip liner. It just works so well for me. So this is the point in the video where you as a normal person will get out your lip liner and line your lips. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to line it with the shade, and then I'm going to use the shade to fill it in. Now this is a very deep berry shade, so I wanted to use it sparingly. And now I'm going to go in with this very bright pink, just on the outer corner there. This is a very princessy look. Again, just use what you have, but I felt like these colors really worked well for Rapunzel. I'm carving out the lips because I did make that mistake there. That's exactly what I did. Now I'm just putting a little bit of a darker shadow underneath the lips. This is just giving the illusion that my bottom lip is bigger than it actually is. Now I'm going over top with some pink shimmer shadow. That's just to set the lipstick, crazy, I know, and also just to make it look a little bit lighter. I'm trying to create the perfect shade. Now I'm brushing over my semi-bake, looking great. And now it's time for the freckles. So I like to twist as I press down on my cheek, twist and press, twist and press. If I want to create a darker freckle, I twist and press at the same time. You want to be very careful not to do it too much, and some people will even go over top with the freckles with a light powder just to make sure that it's looking natural and it's not so dark. But it's really up to personal preference on what you want to do and how you want to create your freckles. I'm using a brown eyebrow pencil for this. Now I'm smiling just to see where it's going to fall in the apples of my cheeks and creating more there. Putting some down the rest of my face as well. Freckles don't just happen in one place. Alright, time to put on the setting spray. As you notice, nothing came out of that bottle. That's because nothing did. But that's when you would put that in there. Now I'm going to do a braid for Rapunzel today, since she is known for her iconic braid. Just going to do a little side action. Just fluffing that out, making sure I like it. Looking good. Tuck in places where you don't like. Now I like these earrings because they look like little sunbeams to me, so I felt like that would go great with this little Disneybound outfit that I've put together. And that's it for today's video.